I think we will start now because I think there's a lot of here. There's Sweden and France and Italy. Yes, and then Denmark. It's very interesting. So welcome everyone. And I want to put on some slides so you can see some pictures while I'm talking. So now I'll just show you them. Yes, here. And I will turn off my camera just so you don't have to look at me. Well, welcome everybody to this webinar that I have chosen to call the Torticollis Recovery Technique. I have been working with Torticollis for many years in Denmark, but it's first now I want to present it for other countries, and it's a big step for me. So today I have to present everything in English, and I hope you can understand me. Well, I have chosen this title of my webinar because I have helped a lot of people recover or to get a better life with Torticollis. And I want to tell you a lot more about that today. And my goal today is to tell you about the reason why other treatments don't work and why this technique is effective and can change your condition for good. And the 4 steps that improve your Torticollis in a short time, and how the technique easily becomes a daily routine. So this webinar will take around 1 hour. Sometimes it's a little bit less than 1 hour. And I will just say to you, please close down everything that disturbs you. For example, put your phone on silent mode. And close down your Facebook site or other internet sites you might have opened on your computer if you're watching this webinar on your computer screen. In this way, you will be able to concentrate better. In order to keep the time schedule today, I will answer the questions in the end of this webinar. So please write them down if you have any questions on a paper, or put them in the chat, and then I will answer it in the end. So you've come to the right place today if you want to remove involuntary head turnings and spasm, if you want to remove muscle tensions and pains, and also if you have shakings with your head, it's also sometimes normal with Torticollis. If you want to increase flexibility in neck movements, if you want to improve practical skills in everyday life, and finally obtain more energy and happiness as a result of all that. And before I go more into my recovery technique, I want to tell you a little bit about who I am, because I guess you don't know anything about me because I'm from Denmark. My name is Nelly and I'm 43 years old. I was born and raised in Denmark in a small town not far from Copenhagen. I have a Japanese mother and a Danish father, and besides have lived in Copenhagen, I've also lived in France and Japan, where I studied French, Japanese, and communication. I'm currently living in Denmark with my husband and 2 boys, aged 2 and 7 years old. And I have a master's degree in communication and health promotion. I'm also a master coach in life, business, and stress coaching, and I have worked as a mindfulness instructor for many years, and I have also 10 years of experience with people disabled because of physical or mental illnesses. And in 2013, I conducted a survey of 84 persons' experience with Torticollis in Denmark, and you can see some of my results on my website called www.torticollisguide.com. And there you can also read more about my work. My experience with Torticollis started in 2007, where I was living in Japan. And I need to talk and tell you about my experience with Torticollis, because that was the time where I started to develop my exercises. Well, I was studying Japanese in Japan, and I wanted to extend my stay and chose to work in 2 restaurants. And I didn't take care of myself. I was in a very stressful atmosphere from morning to night, and I didn't sleep well, I didn't relax, and got more and more stress symptoms. And one day I woke up with pain in my neck and my head was constantly turning to the left. At first, I didn't think it was serious. I just thought the neck would benefit from some massage, so I got some, but the condition just didn't go away at all. It just got worse, and I went back to Denmark and I was diagnosed with spasmodic torticollis shortly after. And I was told that my condition couldn't get any worse because my head was almost fixed in a position over my left shoulder. And I got my first injection with botulinum toxin. You might also have tried that. It's very common as a treatment. However, I didn't feel any better from getting this Botox. My neck became a little more flexible, but I just had as many spasms and head turnings as before. So, I was struggling with all these symptoms, and maybe you know some of them, like involuntary head turnings and dizziness, pain in my neck, shoulder, back, and lower back. I was tired and exhausted during the day from even the smallest activity. I had to lie down a lot. I couldn't manage to go to school or to work, not for many hours though. I didn't sleep well in the night because I couldn't find any positions where my head was relaxed. And then I got muscle relaxant medication, and it just made me more tired. And then I needed help with everyday tasks like for cooking, cleaning, and shopping. So my family came and helped me in my home. And I was more and more socially isolated. I didn't want to see people that much, and I started to avoid places with many people. And I went, for example, to the supermarket in the evening, and I went for a walk outside when it was dark, for example. And I got more and more sad and sometimes even anxious. So at this time I was 27 years old and had no education, no job, no boyfriend, no children, and all my dreams about the future, about all these things were suddenly gone, and I got very depressed. But one day I was trying to look at myself in the mirror, and I just couldn't. Because my head was constantly turning to the left and sometimes almost fixed to this side. But this very special day, I had this big experience that changed everything for me. It was just a single moment where I noticed that I could keep my head very straight ahead, very perfectly for several seconds without supporting it with my hands. And these seconds felt like an eternity because my neck muscles were completely relaxed, and I had the feeling that I was jumping back in time and could feel my old normal neck again. And this experience gave me a boost of motivation because now I got the idea that my torticollis wasn't that permanent, because if my condition could change like that from moment to moment, maybe I could find another moment that was peaceful in my neck. So from that day, I started searching for another peaceful moment in my neck, and I began to develop my own exercises that could help me keep my head still. And it took me some time, but after a while, I could hold my head straight for many seconds and even minutes. And gradually, I got more and more flexible also. And about after 9 months, I became completely symptom-free and I could live normally again. And it was just a big change from my head being fixed over my left shoulder to my head being completely normal in all directions. I could just move my head in all directions and I could live normally again. And it was so amazing to have this old life back. I could now study again. I could do the cooking, cleaning, shopping, and transport myself without any head turnings or pains or shakings or anything. But after about 1 year, I got very stressed again for some weeks in my study. And unfortunately, my torticollis came back in a very aggressive way in just 2 weeks or so. And I had to start from scratch with all my exercises, and I was training hard. And luckily, after 6 months, this time I recovered one more time. Well, my story repeats itself, unfortunately, because I got a relapse again after another year. And I have lived completely normally one more time in 1 year. And then I got very stressed again. And all my symptoms of torticollis came back one more time in a short time. So this second time where I had to start with all my exercises from the scratch again, I was completely mentally exhausted because I have trained so much for many years. But after some while, I continued and started to exercises. And luckily, after one round of 6 months, I was recovering one more time. So after this long battle, I have actually been symptom-free for the last 13 years. So that was my last battle with torticollis at all. And I'm super grateful today because actually during the last 13 years, I have been stressed many times, and I have been very worried about maybe I could get this torticollis back again. But I have been lucky, and the recovery has worked. So I live normally today, and I can get stressed. Of course, I have to take care of myself as everyone has to take care of themselves. But I have finished my education. I had got a job, a boyfriend, and the 2 lovely kids today. So my story is ending very happily. So during the last 10 years, I started to help other people to recover with my exercises as well. I started to give other people my exercises, and they actually also succeeded in getting free from the symptoms. So today I have invited you to know more about 3 things, and these 3 things I have chosen for you because I think they are the most useful and relevant factors for you to know about. I only have 1 hour. I could speak for many hours, but for this hour, I want to tell you about the reason why other treatments don't work and why this technique is effective and will change your condition for good. Yes, it's very in a short way. I will tell you about that. And the 4 steps that improve your torticollis in a short time, and how the technique easily becomes a daily routine. So I will go straight into number 1. And I can start to tell you about that. Well, when I got this diagnosis with torticollis, I asked myself, why did I get this disease? And many of my clients have had similar thoughts because the condition is not that common. And to be honest, it can seem a little bit strange for people who doesn't know torticollis. They ask a lot of questions, and we are used to just explain. So everyone who got this diagnosis wonders about what happened before they got the disease, and whether they did something wrong, or could they have prevented it somehow. And it's completely natural to have all these thoughts. And I also had many speculations about the possible causes, because no doctor could provide me with a specific answer about what the cause of torticollis was. So in order to learn more about the reason, or to find out what the reason could be, I conducted a survey of 84 Danish clients' condition in 2013. And the results showed that clients had different ideas that you can see on my list here, like with stress being one of the leading factors. Yes, and it took me around 10 years after I got free from the condition to find out that an explanation that sufficiently helped me understand the disease, both for my own recovery and others. And this explanation comes from a specific study in Estonia, which indicates that stress is one of the main causes. And in simple terms, as a result from stress, the nervous system stops to work normally, causing the nerve signals in one side of the neck to stop working while the other side continues to function normally. And because of this imbalance, the head starts to turn to one side and resulting in torticollis. And the condition is a result of stress, not in a normal state of stress, but when stress is the worst. Like, not everyone will experience this reaction from stress, but some of us may be more prone to react with muscle tensions and a dysfunctional nervous system compared to others. So that's why some of us get this disease. And of course, as my study showed here, there could also be other factors that can influence on the onset of torticollis. For example, accidents, like surgery and other things. But it's very interesting that stress could be a main cause. Well, based on this explanation, I can ask now if you think recovery is possible, because no matter where we live in the world and in Europe now today, the doctors might have told you that torticollis is a chronic and lifelong condition. And because there's no official cure, the doctors have no choice other than telling us this. However, I have invited you here today to tell that there is hope and that you can change your condition and that it is possible to get free from your symptoms. But before I go more into that, I will share a short story about elephants raised in captivity. Maybe you're wondering why I've been showing this elephant on the photo. Well, it's just a short story. Because once upon a time in India, a man came across some elephants that were tied with trees with very thin and small ropes around their legs. And there were no chains. He was very surprised because it was evident that the elephant could easily break free if they wanted to. So he asked the elephant keeper why they didn't attempt to escape. And the zookeeper explained that the elephant had been tied with these thin ropes since they were baby elephants. And at that time, the ropes were strong enough to prevent them from escaping. As the elephant grew up, they stopped even trying to escape. So now you might guess why I'm sharing you this story. It's because many of us go through life believing that we can't do a certain thing because someone told us or because we didn't succeed the first time we tried. And just like the elephants, we are actually capable of changing our condition with torticollis. We've just been told that it's not possible. So perhaps you have tried a lot of things, like massage, physiotherapy, chiropractic treatment, botulinum toxin, cranial sacral therapy, and so on. And nothing had helped. And maybe you are tired of trying something new. And I really, really understand that feeling because I tried so many things myself and I felt disappointed every time, or a lot of the times it was just a very short release of some of the symptoms, but then they came back. And especially with torticollis, it is difficult to find a specialist who knows something about the condition because not that many specialists knows about torticollis, or not even doctors, and it's hard to find a specialist. Well, I can tell you here today that besides me, very few specialists around the world are working with exercises, and maybe you have tried some. But I can just ask, what specific exercises are working for torticollis and are able to change the condition for good? And the answer is neurological rehabilitation exercises. And you can easily find a lot of traditional physiotherapists who really, from a good heart, want to help, but they don't know enough about torticollis. And they will typically give you exercises that focus on training the muscles in the weakest side of the neck. And this can be a big mistake if they are not doing it in a correct way, and it can actually make the torticollis worse. So from the focused work with exercises that I experienced myself and with others during the 10 years I worked with that, I have found that it's actually a neurological process that is the key to recovery that is lasting. So what is a neurological rehabilitation? And I know that this word can seem very like, it's about I'm sorry, it's hard to say in English. Neurological rehabilitation, it sounds like very, hard to explain, and it is, but I would just say that I found this explanation about neurological rehabilitation that fits into the practical experience that I had from recovering people around me and also myself. So based on my 10 years of experience working with Torticollis, I have found that achieving a permanent recovery depends on exercises where you do a specific movement. And this movement should be without using muscle strength. So the key is to avoid forcing your head in a particular direction when you feel a spasm or tension. And this is so important because this is different from a normal traditional physiotherapy knowledge. So the majority of my clients, including myself, have recovered by using these special exercises. And the biggest secret behind these exercises is that you can create new connections between the neck muscles and the brain. And you're training the center in your brain that controls your motor controls of the body muscles rather than the neck muscles themselves. So all this neurological process is difficult to explain. However, the goal is to reprogram, so to speak, the brain. And once you have been doing the exercises for some time, you won't need to continue doing them because the normal condition of your neck becomes permanent. So this is also why I haven't done the exercises at all for 13 years, and all my clients are going out in life with less symptoms, and they don't need to do the exercises anymore because the results are permanent. Well, I will tell you a story about one of my clients, for example, and she was called Camilla. And I really get happy every time I think of her because she went through life until she was 32 years old and had very much success with a good job, a nice boyfriend, and she just bought an apartment with the boyfriend. And the next step for them was to start a family and to get children. But she just had got this diagnosis with Torticollis, and she gave up the dream of getting children. And she was very sad and frustrated when she came to me because she said, okay, now I cannot do all my big dreams from today because I have this Torticollis and I have to get Botox every 3 months. But I got to be her mentor, and I taught her how to use my technique and exercises, and she started to exercise every day. And we were just adjusting her exercises and looking at her everyday life and how to fit in the exercises in her schedule. And around 6-7 months after she started also to see improvements, and finally she got symptom-free after like 8-9 months, and she wanted to start working again. And I was a little bit nervous for her to start working again because I had a relapse myself, and maybe I thought, okay, she could also get a relapse. But actually she started part-time, and it went very good for her, and she is now today still free of symptoms. She's working full-time in a very good job, and she had got 2 children, and it's so fantastic. So I really get so happy when I think of her. And you can see this text message she was sending to me, that she was grateful for this big help. Well, we have now reached number 2, and this is about the 4 steps to recovery in a short time. So I can start to just give you this list of what kind of symptoms my clients have, and I think you can recognize some of them because it's common to have involuntary head movements, tensions, or shaking with the head. Many of my clients have are tired or exhausted just after a few hours of activity. Some people have pain and some people doesn't have pain, but a lot of the people I have met, they have difficulties with simple practical tasks, and a lot of them feel unsatisfied with medical treatment. A lot of them have actually quit Botox treatment because it didn't help them. And a lot also felt this social isolation that I told you about, that I also experienced myself. So when I meet people the first time with Torticollis, I will always try to make this that I call a functional analysis. And it's about that every condition is unique and is defined by different factors. And it is, for example, the direction of movement of the head. Which way does the head turn? Some have torticollis to the right and some to the left, and so on. And then there's the flexibility. How flexible are the muscles in the neck? And intensity. Which intensity does the neck muscle have? And also the pain level. How much is the person suffering from pain? And as I just told you about, there can be different directions of involuntary movement. I have this small picture here. The classical torticollis is a head turning to the left or right, and besides that, you can also have lateral collis, that is a movement towards the shoulders, or anterior collis, that is a movement pulling your head forward, or retrocollis, pulling your head backwards. And your head can also be pulled in different directions at the same time, like it could be a combination of different directions. And furthermore, the direction can also change over time. For example, after treatment with Botox. It's very common to experience that. And my technique, I have also made this scale that shows different intensity in muscle tensions. And this scale shows the tension from non-existent, shown with the green color, to a lot of tensions shown with the red color. And it is important to say that a bad condition doesn't influence on your chances of getting improvements, because many of my clients, including me, was told that our condition couldn't get any worse and we recovered anyway. So my method includes 4 steps. And I have this model called the HEAL model, as you can see on this slide, with a cogwheel for each step or element that you can expect in the process of recovery. And this is also what we are working with if I'm a mentor for someone, I will work with these 4 elements or factors, because they are so important when you want to recover. And the first area is high spirit. It's about the mental resources. This is about what kind of way of you're managing stress, anxiety, and how you're overcoming the feeling of giving up, and how to keep being patient and maintain hope. And this is all about the ups and downs that you can experience when you are going through a recovery mentally. And number 2, it's the exercises. This is about creating the exercises routine every day. And this is the most essential part of the process, of course. And in the model, you can also see that it's the biggest cogwheel. If it isn't for the exercises, you won't be able to recover. And it is also important to know that the exercises should be adjusted along the way, because the neck can respond either with pain or other symptoms. So it's important to make exercises the right way, so you are not making your condition worse. And then I have number 3, adapt. It's about adjusting body positions in everyday life. It's about how we are sitting, standing, and driving a car, and so on, because some positions are hindering your recovery and some positions are actually helping you speed up your recovery. And then there's number 4. It's lifestyle. It's about how you're sleeping, what kind of diet you're eating. Maybe there's other things in your lifestyle that can be changed a little bit in order to speed up your recovery. So all these 4 areas are very important and can be very different from person to person when someone is going through a recovery. So it's not only about exercising. I'm always looking at different factors for a person, like different people needs different recovery plans. So I'm looking into, for example, when did the torticollis set in? What is the experience for the person? Have they tried a lot of treatments? How did the symptoms occur? And then I look also at the symptoms like the muscle intensity, flexibility, and pain that I just told you about. And then I also look at the mental resources, the person suffering from stress, anxiety, sadness, or something like that, because then there's tool to help this person with that too. And also, how are the social relationship in the person's life? Are there any support from family, friends, or others? And the physical environment, of course, also is important, because maybe there's not that space to exercise in a small apartment, and if the person lives in a city, maybe it's also difficult to exercise outside on the street if there's a lot of people and so on. So we're just looking at different things, like in the end also the obligations. Does the person have work, children, or other activities in the free time and duties to handle? So many factors are influencing on how a recovery process can be achieved, of course, and unfortunately there is not a one-size-fits-all template. The recovery process is very personal and should be respected as different from person to person, of course. So I'm into this very dramatic slide where I will ask you if you are dreaming of recovery. And I have to ask you because I'm experiencing a lot of torticollis patients breaking down their dreams about recovery because they have lived with it for many years, or maybe they tried so much and nothing helped them. So it's normal to break down the dreaming of recovery. So I just want to ask you anyway, if you have some dreams about getting better or just doing a recovery, I want to say that, well, please just dream on, because maybe it's actually possible for you. That's why I'm here today, also to tell you that something is possible. So maybe there's something that you are preventing to do in your life because of torticollis. Maybe torticollis is holding you back from something that you really want to do. And I think it's so important that we have just one life and we can do the things that are important for us just this life. And that's why I want to tell you, you can use some exercises and reach your dreams. Yes. So many people also ask me, what does it take to reach the goal about recovery? Because I was telling you about the mental resource that you need, but a lot of people come to me and say, what if I don't have enough patience, or if I don't have enough determination or will to go through all the exercises? Well, I can tell you just a small story about a client who came to me, and she was interested in my exercises, but she was not sure that she had enough energy to go through what it would take to do all the exercises. Because she was every day coming home from work. She had a part-time job, and she was so tired, so she collapsed on her couch, on her sofa every day after work for hours, and she couldn't do anything in the home. And she really wanted to exercise, but she asked me, how can I do this if my everyday life is so hard to survive, actually? And we were talking back and forth, and in the end, she realized that the exercises should be seen as an investment into getting more energy, because the more you start to exercise, the more energy you will get. Of course, it takes some time, but anyway, it will just be a period of time in your life, and then you will get more energy. And when she realized that, she started to exercise in small steps, and that's actually what I recommend, to start in small steps. And she got more and more energy, and as a result, she called me one day and she said, oh, she was starting doing the gardening after work, and she had more energy to just go through the everyday task in the home, and she was so happy for that. So after some time, she got more and more energy, and in the end, she got free of the symptoms, and she got her life back. Well, if I go back to 2007, where I had my torticollis, I was searching all over the internet for someone who got through a recovery. But I couldn't find a single person. And my mom from Japan, by the way, she found a story about a Japanese woman in Japan who had recovered from torticollis. And my mother didn't know anything about torticollis, but she was just convinced from this story that I could do the same. So during my recovery process, that took me like 4 years. It was in total, and don't be afraid, it can be done less than that. I was about to give up many times, because it's not a secret that the exercises that you have to do every day, they can sometimes be very hard to do. And my mother, she always said to me, please just continue, you can do it, and some person experienced this recovery and you can do it. And sometimes I was very tired of my mom, because I thought, well, she doesn't know anything about torticollis, and she doesn't know how it feels to have this torticollis. But anyway, I listened to her and I continued. My mom was a kind of personal coach for me, who didn't stop cheering at me. And unfortunately, she died in 2017 at a too much young age. But today I really remember my mother for being the one who really had faith in me and that I could do the recovery. And if it wasn't for her, my condition would never have been so great today. And it's in a way also to honor her that I really want to get out with this knowledge to you today, because I really think that her determination about that I should continue, I want to give it to you too. Well, it might not be a surprise that this faith and hope thing is a very central thing of the recovery, because if you want to achieve a goal, of course, it requires you to take action. So it's maybe not a surprise. And now I'm showing you a photo of a frog, and I hope you're still out there. And you're wondering, why am I showing you a frog? Well, it's because I want to tell you a story about a frog, in order to illustrate what we need to reach our goals. So once upon a time, a small group of frogs went through the forest, and 2 of the frogs fell by accident into a deep hole. And when the other frogs saw the hole and the 2 frogs and how deep they were, they shouted down to the 2 frogs that there was no hope. They could just give up and just die. But first, the 2 frogs decided to ignore the other frogs, and they kept trying to jump out of the cave. And finally, one of the frogs gave up, and it prepared himself to die, lying down in the corner. The other frog, on the other hand, continued to jump as high as it could, and finally jumped over the edge. And when he came up, all the frogs were surprised, and they asked him, "Didn't you hear what we shouted at you?" But this frog explained to the others that he was deaf, he couldn't hear anything, and so he thanked them for being encouraging him over and over again. Yes, so this little story illustrates in a simple way how we can either give up or be encouraged to continue, and that the surroundings of other people's beliefs can make us achieve the impossible or maybe lose hope. So what am I going to tell you with this story? Well, of course, it's very good to have a community support. And so my point here is, when you are improving your torticollis, you will need someone who can support you and believe in you and cheer at you. Also when you lose energy, hope and faith, which is very normal. So my point here is that you are in I'm sorry. I just mixed some of my notes here. I'm sorry. Okay, and this is in English, and it's a little bit new for me, so I'm sorry if my English is not that clear sometimes, but I hope you can understand me anyway. Well, many of my clients have thanked me for cheering at them all the way through the process of improvement, and they do often mention that it has been a significant part that of the help that I provide, that I have cheered at them. And for the same reason, I have often brought clients together so they can share their experience with exercising and celebrate their successes together and learn from each other. So again, I want to challenge you a little bit, because imagine you had your symptoms removed, that you are free from symptoms, tensions and pain, that you can move your neck with no difficulties, that you have more energy and joy. And what would you do if you got free from all your symptoms? And I just asked this question, as I told you before, because I want to open your imagination about that it is possible to change your condition. Because many of us have just closed down all the dreams about that we could actually get free from this condition. Well, number 3, how this technique becomes a routine in everyday life. And in just a short time, I will also I will show you some of my exercises. So I hope you will stay at this webinar. How this technique becomes a routine in everyday life. It's about the biggest thing you can do in life is actually to start this exercising, if you ask me. And you shouldn't be afraid of new routines, because many people, when I say new routines of exercising, they say, "Oh no, that sounds difficult. Oh no, I'm not good at starting new routines. I tend to give up easily." Well, don't worry. The biggest changes in life doesn't require the biggest action, if you ask me. At least not at the same time. Maybe you know how it is to have big plans for the new year to come, for example. Then we tend to plan to make healthy breakfast every day, run 10 kilometers per week, and lose weight and all that. And it's nice to have all these positive visions, but we need to set realistic goals as well. And when it comes to Torticollis and the exercises, I often see that people want to exercise a lot in the beginning because they have a lot of motivation, but I recommend to start very slowly and take small steps into the new routines, because the neck will have to get used to the new movements. So small steps are important in the recovery process. I used to say, make the right actions at the right time at and in the right quantities. And this means that you need to make the right small exercises in the right amount in the right time. And then chances are that you will succeed more easily and quickly. So just a very short, small story about a Danish customer, a client of me. She came to me and she had so many concerns about the lack of time to do the exercises, and she was called Jette, as you can see here. And she came to me with questions about how to integrate the exercises plan into a very busy everyday life. And we were looking at her schedule for a week, and it was clear that she had many obligations besides her part-time job, but we found like 30 minutes here and there to do the exercises, and the result that was that she got improvement after some few months. And she followed the new routines every day for a longer period, and in the end she managed to become completely symptom-free. So she was having this part-time job also, and we found time here and there to exercise. And I would say that the most important thing in the process of exercising is just this quote, and I really love this quote because it illustrates what you need to have in order to recover. And it is: a river cut through stones, not because of its power, but because of its persistence. So the best weapon in the battle against Torticollis is to continue exercising and use the time you need. Even though it can take longer time, you will be so happy for the recovery the rest of your life. So I have chosen some of my exercises here, and I will start to tell you about that. I have 2 categories of exercises, and the first category is movement exercises. And obviously I cannot give you a complete instruction of all my exercise program here, because this webinar is very short, 1 hour. But when you do the movement exercises, as I told you in the beginning of this webinar, you are actually doing the neurological rehabilitation. And these exercises need a lot of adjustment that is fit for the unique condition. And they need adjustment when they are done, so they are a little bit complicated to explain. So I won't go too much into that today. But the other category, stretching exercises, they are more easy to do. And I will give you them today here, so you can do them whenever you want and no matter where you are. They look a little bit like yoga exercises from yoga, and they are quite harmless. And of course, I will recommend you to be cautious when you do them, because the neck can be very tensed in the muscles, and they can respond with pain or other symptoms like more shaking or more new directions and so on. So it's always good to get a profound supervision or to be very, very gentle if you do the stretch. But it's not something that you should be afraid of. You can see the exercises shown in the picture. One is a gentle stretch towards the shoulders, and the other is a gentle stretch towards the floor. So my point showing them here is also that I want to tell you, you can incorporate the stretching exercises easily in your daily life. You can do them when you're sitting in front of your television, if you are sitting in a train on the way home from work, or if you're sitting with friends or family, you can do them very easily. And again, be aware of your neck symptoms. Just feel your neck when you do them, because it's important that you are not overstretching, like if there's too much pain, or if you get too much like other symptoms like shaking or things like that, then you should just stop and just try again a little bit later, and just do very small stretch every day. But if you continue every day, little by little, you will be able to increase the length of your stretch. And this is so positive and good for your neck on the long run. So just try to start to do them as soon as possible if you want. And now I want to summarize what it takes to get success with the Torticollis recovery technique. Because the clients that I helped got success with the recovery because they, if you ask me, they had this functional analysis where we look into the unique condition and we make an exercise plan from that unique condition. And then the clients followed my instructions to do the exercises correctly. That is also very important. And my guidance about which exercises to do when and for how long was also important, and they followed that directions. And the clients continued to exercise even though it felt difficult at times, because it's not a secret that sometimes you need support from someone who say to you, well, please continue, you can do it. Someone who cheers at you. It can take longer time to recover, and it can also take shorter times. It depends on your condition. And they were patient and willing to make lasting changes. Of course, that's also a very important thing. And what did they get from this Torticollis recovery technique? Well, the spasm, pains, and muscle tensions disappeared. They got normal movement in the neck, back, and they got better handling of everyday activities. They got better sleep and increased joy and energy as a result from all that. So I'm here today also to ask you if you want my help. Of course, I really want to help you. So maybe you're thinking that you want to improve your condition and recover by doing this neurological rehabilitation exercises. I know it's something new for you, and maybe you are hesitating a little bit about doing something new, but I would say I have tried so many things myself for so long time, and when I found that these exercise was actually giving me others results, then I got so happy, and I really feel that it's my duty to give them to you. So many people, they also say, if not now, then when? And many people think, oh no, it's not the right moment to start exercise because I'm going on a holiday soon, or maybe I need to change my job before, and so on. But if you ask me, there will never be a perfect moment for bigger decisions like this. I can just say that you will thank yourself in the future if you take action today, because these exercises is like an investment into a much better life, where you will get your relaxed neck back. So now is your chance to get support. I can't be a mentor for that many people at the same time. So at the moment there is an opening. I'm already having clients in Denmark, and gradually I'm taking more clients in from the Europe as well. And all my mentor courses are online and in English, and you are welcome to join them. And when you want help, I will ask you a few questions because I cannot help everyone. And it's because that you need to be very dedicated to try this process. And at least you will have to be willing to exercise every day for minimum 3 times 30 minutes. And that you're willing to understand that it's not just a quick fix, and that you are determined to improve your condition, and that you are ready to instructions from dedicated coaches. And unfortunately, I cannot help you if you're looking for a quick fix, or if you are not willing to change anything, of course. So today I'm here, and I want to offer you this free personal 1 hour online session. Normal price is 140 euros, but today it's completely free for you. And it will of course be in English, and you can hear my English is not that brilliant. So I will not expect you to speak that good English, but we can maybe communicate in our best English, both of us, if you're not from England. So yeah, you can book a session on the following website, and I will try to put in. I can also maybe it's not possible, but I will go into my website here and then I can get the link for you. Yes, I will just put the link to my website here. And then you feel free to just book a session with me. Yes, and actually now we are also at the end of the webinar, so please just feel free to ask me questions, and then I will answer it. And if not, we can also just speak on this personal session if you want to book that. So, and I want to say that there's 15 seconds of delay. So when you write to me, it will take like 15 seconds to read the message in this program. It's a little bit bad, but it's what it is. And if you don't have any questions, you are also very welcome to look at my website to book this session. And if you don't have any questions now, I will just say thank you very much for you to join me today. I have been so excited to make this webinar in English today, so I'm happy that everything went okay, I think. And I will just wait if you have some questions here. And it's very anonymous because I will not, that's also why I put the chat like with no names, because so you cannot see each other. But of course, I know that in every country you cannot recognize each other. But in Denmark, I had some person who didn't want to recognize each other. So that's why I have made this anonymous. Let's see. Yeah, people just say thank you, thank you. Well, I just say thank you too. And there's someone who's asking, do you avoid muscle trainings with weights? I would say yes. I would be very careful about what kind of muscle training I would do with this Torticollis condition, because it's very important that you're not training the wrong muscles in the neck, that you are actually making the neck worse. But of course, if you know some specialists who do the muscle training with weights and with your condition, it's okay to follow their instructions. I don't know if you have that, but I would definitely be very careful. And for my clients, I would say please avoid it, and also at least for the period of time where you're doing the exercise that I recommend. And then someone who's asking if the session is online, and yes, all my clients in Denmark, they also have having this online course, and I can also see people in person, but I will not ask for that, and especially when you are out in Europe, I would not ask you to come to me. But if you want to meet me, of course, I can plan a place you can stay in Denmark, a cheap place not far from me, and I could give you a personal consultation for 3 hours, because I would always start with a very personal consultation of 3 hours where I go into this person's symptoms and all that. But if you're living in another country, it's as good as well, also online, because we can talk in this, the program called Zoom. I don't know if you know that. So it's very easy to see each other on the screen, and I don't need to touch the neck or anything. I can just talk with you and hear about the symptoms that you have. And I also have a questionnaire that goes very deep into what kind of symptoms you have and all that. So everything is online, and there's also training videos and all that online, so you could just follow all my instructions all online. Well, I just have to be a little bit more fluent in English, I can feel today, because I have to practice more English, but that's it. So if you don't have more questions, I'll just wait 15 seconds and then I will maybe close down and say thank you for today. It has been a very nice time for me to see that you are. Thank you very much. Thank you. A lot of people are saying thank you. So thank you for today, and have a nice Sunday and a nice summer, and maybe see you in a session. I hope you book a session. You're not obligated to buy anything or anything. You can just meet me also in person. So please just book a session. Okay, then I will close down. Thank you for today. Bye.